If you're an introvert and want to build a business mostly by yourself, then this video is exactly for you. Because in this episode of The Modern Creator, we analyze Dan Koe, the writer and entrepreneur who built a 3 million creator business. In the following, we will look how Dan Koe built a personal brand as a writer. We will look how he created insane organic traffic as a one-man business and the system he uses to monetize this traffic. And we will look how he created a cult-like audience. If you're a solo creator, an introvert, and want to build a personal brand mostly by yourself, then this episode is for you. Subscribe and click the first link in the description to get all the tools you need to become a creator today. In the following, we will look how he created his brand philosophy. We will look how he created this insane audience with so much traffic, and we will look how he monetized it. But first of all, I want to talk about the digital renaissance, because this is something that a lot of people don't understand, that currently from 2020 to 2030 is a time that we will known in the history books as the digital renaissance. The Renaissance was a time of Leonardo da Vinci, of Picasso, of Niccolo Machiavelli. It was a time of art and science, of development, of new way of thinking. And this time that we currently experiencing, 2020 to 2030, this is the new Renaissance, digital Renaissance, not just with AI, but generally of art and science and a new way of thinking, a paradigm shift that we will talk later in when we talk about his philosophy. This way of thinking, this is what is unique about Dan Koe. But we will also talk about this later. First of all, who is Dan Koe? Dan Koe is a writer and a philosopher in this digital renaissance that we currently have. And in the creator economy, he's an introvert and someone who built as a one-man business a whole enterprise across all the different platforms, from YouTube, on Instagram, on X, Twitter, on TikTok, and even on LinkedIn. When we look at his timeline of his rise, he started already 2016 until now. And this is really cool if you look at the people when they started. Because if you look sometimes at a creator, you say, okay, he's so successful because he's already so big. But if you look at the history, you will see that they often started years ago. And his earliest video, his first video was 3 years ago, but he started way earlier already as a designer and as a bodybuilder with fitness videos. And this is often the case that as a creator, you start with one channel, then with a second channel, and then with the third or fourth channel, then this is where you see this real success because of all the insights you already gained. The same goes for business ventures that he also had many experiences with failed businesses, then another failed business, and then it blew off. And this is very often the case. He often describes that I create for who I was a few years ago. So his target audience is he couple years ago, 5 years ago. And you see it in every product, every video, every tweet he writes is a letter to his former self. This is the thread that connects his messaging. And his target audience, the people in it, are similar to him. So they are introspective, skeptical, strategic, they're introverts. They all want to exit the system and to replace it with a holistic approach. So to build something on their own, often based something with writing and digital products that is some way creative and holistic and self-sufficient. Generally, his target audience is a mindset-based tribe and is united by rejection of traditional paths. This is what we see very often with books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, that with key teachings like school will teach you nothing of importance, that Dan Koe often talks about, that when you have either the choice to create your own life or a society will assign you a life. Generally, the people who follow Dan Koe, they don't follow him because he's entertaining, but they follow him because he puts language to their unspoken frustrations and inspiration. A lot of people, all people, have feelings, they have core beliefs, they have thoughts, they have insights, but many people are not able to express these thoughts. They're not able to communicate that. But the big thing about Dan Koe is that through his writings, he's able to put it into words, to speak out the frustration, desire, and needs, so that people watch his content, and can identify with it. They're like, oh, he's thinking like me. He speaks out the things that I think, the insights that I have, and the core beliefs, the wants, and my pain points. This is what I mean with these united by rejection of traditional paths, because a lot of people have these thoughts that society will assign you a life, that you're a slave in a society, and they have these kind of insights, but they're not able to communicate it. And then when they watch the content of Dan Koe and consume his content in some way, this is where they feel belonging, where they feel part of this philosophy, where they get into this world of his. The key insights is what we also see in books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, like you can only depend on yourself, that you should learn high income skills to make yourself valuable in any market, to reinvent yourself, and to learn how to think independently. And nowadays, between 2020 to 2030, this is even more intense. With AI technological development, this is 100 times more intense than 10 years ago. And like I said, Dan Koe is able to take all of that and to communicate it very simply so that people watch his content and all of their conscious and subconscious thought patterns, all of their pain points and needs, all of their core beliefs, conscious and subconscious, they can identify, they radiate with it. The psychological drivers are the need and the pain point to control my time, income, and creative expression. Most of his people, the people who watch his content, have a 9 to 5 job or stuck in some academic job. They make maybe money, but it's not just about making money, but it's about ethical wealth. It's building something that matters. It's to express yourself. So it's also about self-mastery, like similar to Marcus Aurelius and Tim Ferriss. It's also about intellectual minimalism, what we also see in his style that we're gonna analyze, where less is more. And it's all about escaping the matrix being a metaphor for normal work, for 9 to 5 job, to not really being who you are. And escaping the matrix is a metaphor for living your own life, to create your own life. So this is exactly here what we see with you create your own life, or society will assign your life. And because Dan is so able to put these unspoken frustrations, these needs, and these pain points so good into words that people can understand, this is where they get hooked into this world. So this all of it, this is his world. People are introduced to the ideas, they can identify with it because on a conscious and subconscious level they think like that. They identify with these key insights, with the thinking, with the core messaging, with the messaging of that the old path is not working clearly anymore, and that we have a new time, and then you have to adapt, you have to reinvent yourself. They can identify with it, and this is how they get hooked into that. One big idea that Dan Koe often talks about is the 4-hour week. And this is from obviously Tim Ferriss. That is one of the key figures that aligns with this whole philosophy, with this world and target audience. And what a lot of people don't get about this philosophy is that the goal is not actually to work 4 hours per week, but it's to achieve in 4 hours more than most people in 1 week. And this is through deep work instead of busy work. So instead of being busy, instead do the right things that gives you leverage. What this means, and this is something that we will explore in the next weeks with other creators too, on different examples, is that he has one big chunk, one big content piece, and from that one content piece, this is how he extracts this one thing into multiple things, repurposes it. In this case, it's one newsletter becomes a YouTube video, tweets, carousel, and podcast. All of it starts with here. This is his newsletter, the Dan Koe Letters. It's a philosophical journal with around 175,000 subscribers. And this is where it starts. Every week you have this newsletter coming out with one letter to his former self, what we saw here with the target audience. And from this letter, he then creates a YouTube video. And I swear, this is so funny. If you watch one of those videos, the video often, not always, but often is just word for word this newsletter read out loud. From those YouTube videos, he then also makes short form content. And from this newsletter, he also creates individual short form content. From this newsletter, he also then creates carousels for Instagram, tweets for X, Twitter, and also he posts those videos, those long form videos, often as audio on Spotify. And now comes the insane thing. The insane thing is that he takes this whole process, this machinery of repurposing content, and uses AI to even accelerate it with 10 or 100 times. This is what is so powerful for us right now in this current decade to build a content creator career. To be honest, this is the whole point of this channel, of the Modern Creator, to show you all of those possibilities to build a content creator career in this current decade that I also obviously do. And with AI, we can take one content piece, in this case, this newsletter, and transform it with minimal effort to other content pieces across all the different platforms to reach different target audiences. And when I say different target audience, I mean it's the same or a similar target audience, but with a different consuming behavior. So people, for me, like me, for example, I personally, subjectively, I don't watch long form videos like that because it's just too long. I often also don't use Instagram and I also don't use X. So I would not see this type of content. But I sometimes watch short form videos. And this is something that Alex Hormozi describes in his teachings, is that if you have different forms of the same content on different platforms, you can reach the same or similar target audience, but with a different consuming behavior. This way, you approach and reach way more people with your messaging. So with your philosophy, with this world, he reaches the same target audience, but with different consuming behavior on different platforms with minimal effort because he uses AI to take this one piece that is the core fundament, and to transform it into different pieces. This is the second big insight that we can learn from him, is to take something big that we create that is centered in our content and then to repurpose it for different things with AI with minimal effort. When we look at his visual style, you have this coherent style that you also see in his brand positioning, and it's this theme of the digital renaissance. It's really minimalistic, it's very artistic, it's luxury, premium, philosophy type, digital writing, calm. You see it from the colors with black and white, but also with these tail colors, muted colors. That's why it's so important, because it creates this world building. We recognize it. Our brain recognizes patterns, and this philosophy, this world that we're diving in, it's literally a world, because through the visual design, it's a world that we can dive in. From the brand positioning, Dan is a mentor of our friend. So he's an authority figure. His tone is serious, stoic, mentor-like. He is not relatable. He's aspirational, but he's not relatable. Like, just look at his face, how serious it is. This is like the opposite of family friendly. But the thing is about Dan is he does not try to be relatable. He positions himself as superior and aspirational, like a digital age Marcus Aurelius for solopreneurs, like a writer and philosopher like Marcus Aurelius. And this is cool. This shows us that there are many ways to build your creative career, that you don't have to be loud and ongoing and a friend, but that some creators, like he, positions themselves more as a detached, more serious way, and this works also in a different way. Same thing goes for his positioning with his anti-positioning. This is also one of these unique selling points. He often describes that I'm not here to fit in, I'm here to build my own world. His core philosophy is that you are the niche. So where other creators tell you that you should niche down, this is a niche you should pick, or this is a trend that you should follow to go viral, he instead has this philosophy that you are the niche, and that if you do your own content, your own authenticity, if you express that authentically and intelligent, then you attract the same type of people, the people who vibing with that vibe, with your vibe, who are similar to you. And this is all what we can see here in his target audience and philosophy, because he basically just expresses who he is, how he thinks, what are his key beliefs, and this resonates with our people. And like I said, because he's able, and this is like one of his biggest thing, because he's able to communicate these unspoken frustrations, these desire, these pain points, and the solutions and thinking, this worldview, because he's able to communicate it so clearly, he's able to attract exactly these kind of people to him who are similar in that sense. And this is his whole positioning, that if you do your type of content, if you do truly who you are, you will attract similar type of people. And all of this brand positioning, this visual style, this creates this cult-like loyalty that we see in his videos, that no matter what the thumbnail is, literally, it doesn't matter what the thumbnail is, and it also doesn't matter what title it is, people will automatically click on it, no matter what it is, because it's a cult-like loyalty where they are so hooked on the content that they click anything, no matter what it is. And we see it also that through all of that, for the brand positioning, through his way, how he built this philosophy in this target audience across different many channels, this is this also creates this high perceived value on all of his offers and products. So every time he presents a new product, a new book, or a new course, or a new challenge, people automatically perceive it as more valuable. But we will also talk about this later in the monetization. First, let's look more on this, on his visual style in the editing. He used to have a very simple editing, like a very extremely simple editing, with just literally a head talk of him and as b-roll just the text. So it's 20 or 30 minutes of him just literally talking into the camera with some b-roll of the same text. Nowadays, he has, with a new editor, probably a more complex style, but it's still very, very simple. And you see it with, for example, you have this dot, the background with the glow with a figure, and then you have the glow with the text in a serif font. Then you have those motion graphics, those pictures that he often uses in his content. You have this dark aesthetic minimalist vibe also in the b-roll. So it's not just the b-roll of the money, but it's the exposure is putting down to create this dark aesthetic vibe. You see also this paper background that a lot of YouTubers use, but also again in a dark way to align with the whole visual style, with some b-roll, and also again figures with with a quote and these dots in the background, and him as a head talk. If you want to recreate it, it's actually quite simple. You need only, or what he uses probably, is a Sony FX3 or Sony A7 III. Maybe it's also Canon or Lumix, but most creators use Sony because it's just so versatile. For audio users, probably Shure SM7B, like a standard podcast microphone with an interface. And for the light, it's mostly just one key light. If you look at it, it's just here are the dark, the hard shadows. So it's just one key light. Probably also something expensive like the Aperture 120D in a 45-degree angle. And if you want to recreate it, you need something around 5,000 to 7,000. But to be honest, you can also recreate it with like $1,000 because you can save on the light, you can save on the camera. A Sony ZV-1 would be enough to create a similar style, or even your iPhone, to be honest, would also be enough. His editing is so simple in editing style number 1 and editing style number 2 because his whole content, like we described, is centered around his writing. So obviously the writing is in the center of attention. That's why it's so simple. And you can also see the figures like Alan Watts that also again align with this core philosophy, because it's again similar to Marcus Aurelius, Tim Ferriss. It goes into this direction of philosopher, Spiritualseeker, freethinker, rebel, like Friedrich Nietzsche. So we see all of those figures who also attract these kinds of people. So a lot of those figures, when we would make a collection, they all align with this target audience. This is how he creates traffic. So first he has this philosophy of him. This is his world building, his character, philosophy. And the second is the magnet, how to attract actually these kind of people into his world. And because he uses these different platforms that that are all based on his writing, he's able to communicate all of those things, all of these thought patterns, the psychological drivers, the core beliefs. He's able to communicate all of that through different platforms to reach the same similar target audience, but with a different consuming behavior, and this way attract all of those people into his universe, into his philosophy, into his world that has a visual style that is very simple. He brings them into this world and then hooks them with these ideas by saying out loud what they all think, but they're not able to say or to write down. But he's able to communicate it clearly. That people watch his content and they think to themselves, yeah, that's exactly how I think, or this is exactly what I thought, but he puts it into words. So the next step is the monetization. How does he monetize all of this traffic? In a position like his, you have a bunch of opportunities to monetize the traffic. But what is unique about his approach that you see rarely for a lot of YouTubers and creators in the creator economy is that 90% of his products are digital products. If you look at it, it's mostly courses, it's mostly mentorship, as a membership, or books. But the books are only like 10% of his income. of the hard paper. All of the other things like software, like courses, like communities, all of it are digital products. And most of them are also products that you can scale. So you create them one time, and then you can sell them all the time. This whole thing that we see here, this is called an educator funnel. Normally, you have your landing page, something like that, and then you have paid ads to get the traffic on this landing page. But if you do this, then the problem is that the people who come to your landing page, they don't know you, and the conversion is not that good. So depending on how good your landing page is, the conversion is okay or it's good. But with an educator funnel, you have way better conversion because the people who come to this landing page come there and they already know you. So they come through content marketing or they come for paid traffic, but they already know you. They already saw some things. So what Dan Koe does, and this is very intelligent because Dan Alex Hormozi also talks about this, is he uses and he gives out away free evergreen content to build deep trust and then launches premium intellectual products with simple funnels. So this is exactly what we described here, that he has all of this content for free that he gives out away, and then when he launches an offer on a product that it has a very high perceived value and therefore a very insane probably conversion rate. And you see it in all of this content, like for example, this video alone is like 2 hours. This alone could be like $150 course that a lot of other creators sell, but he gives it away for free. And this is just one video with all of that combined. So obviously when then he launches something, it has way more perceived value because he already gives away so much great stuff. And this is a core philosophy of Alex Hormozi. It's also something that we see in marketing called the bow strategy. The bow strategy is that you put a bow and you're giving, and then when you launch the bow, the arrow, I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm sorry. Then when you launch it, the product, then it has way more value because you have given away so much stuff for free. So first you and then you shoot it. And this is what people like Dan Koe and Alex Hormozi describe in their teachings, is that the more evergreen content you give away for free, and the greater this content is for free, the more you create trust in your community, in this of this target audience that is hooked into your world. And then when you launch something with a simple funnel, then people have a very high perceived value of it because they have a high perceived value of your brand, what we described here. And because they already trust you, because you already have given away so much stuff for free. And then you have complete crazy conversion rates. So we have here the newsletter, and then with the newsletter, you just promote, hey, I launched a new product, go to my store. If you want to build a store like this, it's made with Stan Store, and with Stan Store, it's very simple. So the only skills you really need for that is the skill of landing page structuring and copywriting. And when I say landing page structuring, I don't mean the IT side, like building a website and stuff, because like I said, it's really easy with Stan Store, but what you need more are the principles. So when you go to one of his products, and you click on it, then for example you go into the store, you click on here, for example, this challenge for $225, and then you come here on this landing page. And if you go to his landing page, then you see here the title, the subtitle, and then the description, and with the things in it, and how you write this, how you do all of this. This is psychology, this is dopamine. There's a lot of science behind it. If you're interested in stuff like that, then write it in the comments and I can link you the YouTube videos where they show you how to build it, because I'm not an expert in it. There are other channels who are specialized in building funnels, and I can link you the videos so that you don't need to search it and save you hours of time of watching stupid videos. Generally, if you need any resources to be a creator, you find it here on the channel from me or from other YouTubers that I link in the playlist, so that it's easier for you and you don't need to search for the internet for hours, but that you have straight all of it here on the channel. That's why also subscribe. So this is the way how he monetizes all of it. We have here, when we look at it, we have here number 3, monetization, money. So he has, from his brand in this digital renaissance, he has his philosophy. With his philosophy, because he's able through his writing to communicate his philosophy clearly, He's able to communicate the psychological drivers, the core beliefs of him. This is his worldview. He's able to communicate that. Then he does it through this organic traffic with all of this content by repurposing all of it, reaching people with different consuming behavior with a very consistent visual style that hooks you into his world. And then he monetized all of that by giving so much free stuff, by courses and things for free, that people trust him. People trust him and they perceive him as superior and aspirational, someone who is ahead of them. And then when he launches something over his newsletter to promote it on his Stan store, this is where he then has a complete insane conversion rate and makes all a bunch of money, something around 3 million, I think, currently per year, only with digital products. 90%, that's insane margins if you think about it, because the cool thing about digital products is that you can create them and then infinitely scale them because you don't need to store them like physical products, for example. And this is the insane thing about digital products that you can learn from. Generally, the key points that we can learn is to build a philosophy, not a following. Don't try to focus on yourself like me, but try to build a philosophy. In his case, it's the philosophy that school will teach you nothing of importance. You create your own life or society will assign your life. You will always see the same key insights. These are like the key insights, the same message over and over and over again in each video. It's a philosophy, it's a world, it's a way of seeing the world and communicating these pain points that people have. Building an identity, communicate who you are, all of this, you could do a whole video just about the philosophy. This is how he creates this following, not by talking about, look at me, look at my Lamborghini, I'm 17 years old and I make 10,000. This is not how we build it, but by creating a philosophy. Remember at the beginning when we talked about that, he built a philosophy and invited people to belong to it. This is how he built his personal brand, by creating a philosophy and he positioning him as a character in it. The second big insight that we can learn from him is repurpose with systemized elegance. In his case, writing is the foundation. We will have next week a Triog, an analysis how to be a creator as a Twitch streamer, where we have the same thing, but not with writing, with something different. In his case, and this is very, very powerful, is this concept that you have one piece, in this case it's the newsletter, to repurpose it with minimum effort to different platforms. I currently, even for my own content, think about how to do it. And this is very, very powerful if you can, especially with AI, have this concept, because with minimal effort, with 1 week, you can create a whole content that you would normally need like a team of 10 people. This way you attract the right people on different platforms with different consuming behaviors. Also, a key point that we can learn from him is to create premium minimalism. Make less, but better. A lot of people, me included, sometimes do too much, too many things. But it's often simplicity is key, what we learned from Mozart, and it's often subtraction, so taking less away. If you have something like that and you ask for feedback, someone says, like when you go cutting your hair, someone says, try to remove that and remove that, then it looks better or it sounds better. And the fourth thing that we can learn is you don't need to be relatable, you can also be authority. So it's about identity crystallization. It's all about who are you? Who are you? And who is your target audience that aligns with that? Not everybody is an outgoing character like in Family Friendly, like shouting and is funny and this outgoing. Some people like him, they are successful like Dan. They're successful because they are emotionally distant. This is like his thing. I think in one of his videos, even someone asked why he's always looking so serious and why he never smiles. Because if you look at all of his thumbnails, he literally never smiles. But this is like his thing. This is his personality. This is his way. This is the stoic, serious mentor type. And it's cool. You can use it. And you have a different character than me. You have a different character than Dan. And you have a different character than any creator that we explore here on the channel. And it's cool. Because your character, the more you crystallize it, the more you understand who you are, the better and the easier, like we saw here with step 1, you can communicate that into the world, create a philosophy around it, and make content around it. And people who align with your personality then are attracted to you. This is the core thing that we can learn here, is that you create your own philosophy built around your identity. Your brand is your identity. And through your content and through those systems, this machinery, you attract for your style, for your content, also for your personality, you attract the right kind of people and then monetize it the right way. Maybe for you, it's not just pure digital products, but it's also physical products like a fashion line. For example, I work with people, with content creators who have fashion lines. But I personally would not like to have a fashion line because a fashion line doesn't align with me. But what I want is to make a fragrance line, like where I produce my own fragrance. This is something that I like. But I also like digital products, like for example, a community. Other people, you don't like a community because you not like to work with a lot of people, but you maybe like a course or a software because you have IT experience. So depending on your personality, your identity crystallization, this is how you find your philosophy in your target audience. This is how you find the right content and how to produce your content, because not everybody is a writer. I'm, for example, not a writer. The creator we will analyze next week is also not a writer. Depending on what is your identity, you have your style of producing content and your type of monetization. And those are the three big things we can learn from him, or the four things that we can learn from him, from Dan Koe as a creator. If you are an entrepreneur, if you are an introvert, if you are a solopreneur, if you want to build something on your own as a one-man business or with a small team, these are the key insights that you can learn from this video from Dan Koe, the analysis. Comment in the video which creator you want to see next. It's always a pleasure to have you here. We are all building our own personal brands or all brands in general. I had a channel before that, also around art and science. This is the new channel I'm currently doing. If you are a creator, if you're already building something, that tag your channel in the comments. If you need help, click the link in the description, the first link. You have all the tools that I provide for you to start your creator career, all for free. You also find free resources here on the channel, because obviously, like Dan Koe and similar to Alex Ramosi, I provide as much as I can free value to you to help you grow your creator business by analyzing those principles and share the concepts with you in digital products, but also in the community that we're building here on this channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for the comments. I wish you all the best. Believe in yourself and you will make it, because like we saw here in this timeline, it's all a process. Until we meet it again in the next video.